Man United 1, Chelsea 1 here at Old Trafford as we wrap up this evening's game. It's the type of performance that I expected from Manchester United, and it's the type of performance that I expected from Chelsea. A lot of dominance from them, a lot of ball rotation, a lot of winning the ball back quickly, a lot of quality from certain individuals who are quite good. People like Reece James, people like N'Golo Kante. And a lacklustre performance from us, which, again, the standout performers I expected to be. Ronaldo, I'll get to that. David De Gea, I'll get to that. Elanga did okay. And Matic, you look at that. Matic, again, putting in a fantastic performance. I'll start with David De Gea because if it wasn't for his saves in this game, we're 2-3-0 down at half-time. You know, we conceded far too many easy chances. I don't know how we didn't concede. Well, I do know how we didn't concede in the first half. It was David De Gea. But there was no midfield. And the funny thing about it is, the most ironic thing about it is that we had the extra man in midfield. There was absolutely no answer for Reece James. The answer should have been Rashford putting it in and understanding what he needed to do and be more aggressive, but we didn't get that. Telles was then left isolated. Yes, I think Telles had a bad game, but I also think he was hung out to dry because he had no help from Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford was going on and sitting on Azpilicueta, and that just allowed Reece James to just go and be a spare part. There was that long switch many times across the pitch from Rudiger to Reece James, and that hurt us. That hurt us a lot. And Telles is not very good in 1v1 situations, let alone 2v1 situations, because then you had Mason Mount popping into that little bit of pocket of space as well. And it just caused us problems pretty much all game. It was the same thing. In the way Chelsea were winning back the ball, you look at midfield. Matic gave a calming influence, and I'll get onto his performance. But in general, our midfield just didn't work. The space wasn't in there. You know, they only had two players in there. Matic was a spare part, or Bruno was a spare part, or McTominay was a spare part. And Chelsea exploited that by having the extra player in terms of in the wide areas. Marcus Rashford, I just felt like, again, this season just can't end quick enough for him. He's just not putting it in enough. The basics just will not aren't there for him. And when the basics aren't there, you can't give yourself a platform to then go and have a good game or a decent game at that. Not even a good game, even a decent game if you're not doing the basics right. Things that Elanga was doing. Elanga wasn't outstanding, but he done the basics right. And that's what he pretty much does every game he plays, which is why at the moment he's getting the shirt ahead of Rashford. You know, Rashford only getting the start today because obviously Jaden's out with tonsillitis. So that says a lot about that. I just felt we were very, very lucky in that first half. And, you know, in a game where we knew going into it Chelsea weren't playing very well. I said it with Matisse, and I said to him, I remember saying, I said, but we're bad, bro. We're bad. And it showed. The quality showed. If Chelsea showed up and played 60% of what they did away at the Bernabeu, which is, you know, controlling the tempo, playing as a team, using their wing-backs and trusting in their system, they'll have a lion's share of the game. The reason why we didn't lose this game was because of David De Gea, was because of Nemanja Matic, and obviously Cristiano Ronaldo. And on Cristiano Ronaldo, by the way, I'm running out of words. He's just absolutely unreal. He really is. The touch that he takes, the finish, and the ball from Matic, which I'll get onto, but he's single-handedly saving us. And I remember a period of about when he went on that barren spell when he didn't score for 8 games, which was the most in his career. And rightly so, I was talking about his performances and talking about all the things he wasn't doing for me at the time. I was critical, you know, because it was more of the link-up play. I felt he was easy to mark. I thought he was easy to dispossess. You know that the goals are in him. And at the time as well, he was getting chances and he was missing quite a lot of them in that little period. Since then, he's just gone from strength to strength, especially with what he's gone through on a personal, the sheer mentality of the guy. And when people talk about him, you know, being an issue, he's the one constant. And the same with David De Gea. And it's not a he told you, she told me this, he told me that, I said this, I'm right. It's not about that. But in the discussions around why David De Gea is so important to the side and why I think he's going to be so important to Erik ten Hag, regardless of this new philosophy and playing out from the back, it's because the guy saves shots. It's as simple as that. And in such an imbalanced team that has so much to work on, and I'll get to the fullbacks in a minute, having a steady goalkeeper who's going to save shots at the minimum, and having a striker there who's going to give you 20 to 25 goals a season at that age, Ten Hag's going to need that. Fullbacks, Dalot again, just average, just really, really average. I think that's the problem. I don't think I need to slate him and say he was absolutely horrendous, but there's moments of his play that just lack the quality. There's moments in his defensive capabilities that lack the alertness and the willingness to track runners, and that it's almost, again, I use the boxing analogy, the ring awareness, knowing where you are on the pitch at all times, knowing where your opponent is, where they're likely to run in behind, what sort of run they're likely to make across you, in behind you, when to come across and join in the centre back and not give that width. Struggled with that. Alex Telles again. He wasn't even bang average. He was below average today and has been for quite some time. Just the quality isn't there. I'm not angry in terms of I can't believe what I just saw, because again, with where we're at in the season, all of those emotions have been exhausted. They've been exhausted. There's no point coming on here and saying, I couldn't believe I saw that, and what was he doing, and what was that? I didn't expect to win the game. I said draw at best, and that's what it was. So I have no, complaints about that, because that's where this squad is at the moment. It's on its arse. There's nothing left. The games are just petering out. One more home game left against Brentford on Monday night, and then 2 away games. The season just needs to end. Scott McTominay was alluding to it in the last game against Arsenal. The players need to look at themselves, and they showed a little bit today, defended okay, but again, Chelsea are just a better team than us. They looked well drilled, they looked well oiled, and even when we had that one individual moment where we scored, what did it go back to? It went back to Chelsea, back in possession, Rudiger, Thiago Silva and Azpilicueta defending high up, almost 20 yards, 15 yards into our half, not even on the halfway line. They're actually excelling past that and keeping us in, recycling the ball. It turned into that. We couldn't even get another moment. But having said that, Nemanja Matic, I find it so ironic that it's the older players that are having the most say on the games. We're talking about clearing out and there's so much dead wood and stuff like that. It's David De Gea, it's Matic, it's Ronaldo at the moment, who are, putting in good performances. I didn't even think Matic had to come off. I thought he was all right. He was the best midfielder on the pitch. He was, not including Kante. I mean, for us, he was the best midfielder. And the ball that he plays, after actually making quite a loose pass and picks it up off Kante, and the little deft chip over to Ronaldo. Just he does put it on a plate for Ronaldo, but it's still a difficult chance for Ronaldo. It is. He's got to bring it down. He brings it down perfectly, and it's a great finish. But he was good today. I think, little bits of calming moments. What Matic is good is that when the ball's popping about and it might be up in the air or it's fizzing around, instead of taking a rash touch and hooking it round a corner or just heading it, it'll just bring it down. It just bring it down and bring a calming influence. And that's too big. Keep it simple, Fleck. Keep it simple, Fleck, as Ricky said. I know what Ricky... I think... Ricky said earlier on in his fan view that, I'll be on the phone to Matic to call him back and stuff like that. I think the issue for me with that is it's indicative of where we are, that we're actually having to rely on Matic to be the best player. Matic, I know it's going to sound crazy, and Ricky did say it in his fan view. I know he said he can't lace Pogba's boots, or the other way around, sorry. Pogba can't lace his boots, but it's about the impact. Matic is actually having a say over the games, whereas Pogba, towards the end of it, wasn't. Of course, he's a better individual player than Matic, but in terms of the calmness and how to play the game in this team, he's having more of a say. Would I ask Matic to stay? Well, no. I think the issue is that we need to move away from players like Matic and the old guard and bring in a new generation. But I get it. In terms of the quality, you look at what McTominay was doing, trash today. Let's just call a spade a spade. When Fred's there, okay, cool. I don't mind Fred. Bruno again ran around and put some effort in, but the quality wasn't really there. The quality came from Matic, and the quality came from Matic against Arsenal as well. But we know in games he's too slow. He can't get about the pitch as we need him to, and we shouldn't have to be relying on another 36-year-old, 37-year-old, or however old Nemanja is. We shouldn't have to be relying on that. So for me, it's not a case of keeping him and building around him, but we do need to understand that he's giving us balance at the moment, and actually he's our best midfielder right now. He is. It's just how it is, especially with Fred out. But McTominay's not been good since he's come back from injury. So there you have it. My man of the match, I'm actually going to give it to David De Gea. I'm going to give it to David De Gea. Ronaldo has been doing that. I've run out of words. Could easily have been Ronaldo, but the fact that De Gea makes them saves in the first half, that's essentially what gives us the platform to even stay in the game. I know it was 0-0 and then we end up going down and Ronaldo comes clutch again. But David De Gea just keeps making big saves after big saves. And that's just what he does. So I'm going to give it to David De Gea. Let me know who your man of the match is. It could easily be Ronaldo. I'm not going to argue with that. The guy is just insane. You know, some people said Ronaldo's washed. He's this, he's that. He can't. He's the problem. Just shut up. Like, I don't, you know, that's not even my tone. I just can't bear to hear it, you know, because without Ronaldo, I don't know where this team would be. It's just embarrassing that we have to keep relying on him like this, but his standards are so high and he's so good. It's just unreal that he's still saving us in a really, really poor Manchester United side. Anyway, I'm out of here. It's cold and I'm tired. Peace.